Welcome back everyone to check out this picture frame project. I saw this frame on Pinterest and thought I have a lot of pictures, so let's build a few frames. This first one I built is black walnut. I left the faces rough cut for a texture and a rustic look. I really like the fact that I could get 12 5x7 pictures in a compact area. I'm a big memory maker and I have a lot of photos. Off to the thickness planer with a variety of species of wood. I sent all of my boards through the planer so they were exactly the same thickness. I used some oak, poplar, mahogany, cedar, black walnut, and maple. After I ripped my boards to approximately 3/4 to 5/8 of an inch thick, I laid them out on my bench. And I apologize for not taking videos of my picture frame jig sled on my table saw, but that is where I cut every 45-degree corner. Once all the corners were cut, it was time to assemble the frames. Using Titebond original glue for this, I used blue tape to clamp the corners till the glue dried. Here's myself and my daughter many years ago. I was just double checking to make sure the pictures fit into the frames before I went any further. And nothing like a trip down memory lane. Once the glue dried and the tape was removed, it was back to the table saw where I set up my spline jig. By cutting a kerf in the corners, it will allow me to insert a spline in each corner for strength. I sent about 168 frames through the jig. Using a piece of hardwood maple, I ripped many pieces to the thickness of the saw blade, which is about 1/8 of an inch thick. After gluing and inserting the maple splines into each corner, I set them aside on my workbench to dry. I think the light-colored maple really pops in the darker color black walnut, mahogany, and cedar. Once dry, I taped a few frames together and sent them through the bandsaw to remove the majority of the unused spline. I'm not cutting them flush, but leaving about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch for the belt sander. Sure makes a mess, but it's very efficient and a breeze for the shop vac. My Grizzly osculating belt sander makes quick work of sanding the edges flush. I'm using a 180 grit sandpaper here. Once all the frames were edge sanded, it was over to the outfeed table for all the face frame sanding. I clamped my sander in a vise and sanded all the face frames flush. Say that 3 times fast. When the sanding was complete, it was back over to the workbench for finishing. I sprayed most of them with satin urethane 2 times. The poplar frames were painted white, which I really wound up not liking, so I sprayed them a matte black, which looked much nicer. I created this jig so assembly was easier. It can get confusing when assembling these frames because the spacing is crucial. They only overlap each other 1/4 of an inch, so you need to get the spacing exact for them to interlock with each other. I used my 23 gauge pin nailer and small dabs of polyurethane glue to connect the frames to one another. If I lost you on that last statement, the next picture will make sense. Finally, the frames are done. It took some careful planning on the install. You see, one frame gets installed right side up and the next frame is upside down, so they connect with each other. The same goes for installing upper and lower frames. You can see the orientation of the frames by the different colors. So this is my memory wall. Some of my most favorite people in the world are on it. Some are still here, some have left, but the memories will always be displayed for a reminder that we're not here forever. So live, laugh, love each other while you can. If you found any good information or tricks or tips on this project, please like and subscribe to help out and support this channel and spread the love.